In the 2017 offseason, the Houston Rockets pulled off a big trade to get all-star superstar Chris Paul. And everybody was talking. They were saying these two cannot coexist. How can you get Chris Paul and James Harden, two of the best point guards that we've seen over the years, play together and coexist together on this same team? What happens? Chris Paul and James Harden are proving that they can play together. They are one of the best duos in the NBA this season, and I'm here to talk about it. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mikey Prince, aka Kid with Game, and welcome to this episode of Hoop Nerds, where I had to talk about the amazing duo we've seen so far of Chris Paul and James Harden. I mean, when these two guys got together in the beginning of the season, everybody was talking a lot of stuff. They were saying there is no way these two guys could coexist. There are two ball dominant players that need the ball in their hands to be successful. They were going to have just an awful season together. This was going to be a disaster. There's no way they could coexist. Why would Mike D'Antoni want to coach these two guys? Well, little further ahead into the season, we're already in mid-December, and the Houston Rockets have the best record in the NBA right now. They are 21-4. They are on a 10-game win streak currently. How is this possible? Simply because Chris Paul and James Harden can play together. Yes, they are playing very well together. In the beginning of the season, Chris Paul went down with a huge injury that made him miss a little bit over a month of the NBA season. Within that month, James Harden was the last year James Harden we all know. Last year, James Harden had an incredible season when he was moved to the point guard position for Mike D'Antoni's offense. I mean, this guy led the league in assists. He was second in scoring. He was even second place in MVP, losing to Russell Westbrook. So why, after such a successful season at the point guard spot, will they bring in a superstar point guard like Chris Paul to play alongside him and wonder what would happen? Well, Chris Paul went down early in the very first game of the season. We didn't see how this duo was going to coexist. So what happened? James Harden became James Harden. He moved him right back at the point guard spot, and he was just being amazing. He was getting his 30 points a game. He was getting his 9+ assists. He was getting his 5+ rebounds, and the Rockets were winning games and they were losing games as normal. Now Chris Paul comes back. Everybody says this is going to be the big uh-oh. There's no way they're going to play together. And what happens? They get together. They are currently on a 10-game winning streak. They are 10-0 since Chris Paul's been back. They are 11-0 since we're playing with Chris Paul overall this season. They are sharing the ball. They are moving the ball. They are no egos between one or two. Chris Paul even said that when he came to the Houston Rockets that he looks forward to being the second guy, to not having to have the ball in his hand all the time, to letting James Harden still be James Harden, and he is okay being the number two guy. I mean, this season has been absolutely amazing. James Harden is currently leading the league in points at around 32 points a game. He's second in assists at 9 assists a game, and he's still getting his 5 rebounds on 46% shooting, on 40% from the three, and shooting 87% from the free throw line. Chris Paul, in the short amount of games he's been back so far, he is averaging 14 points a game, 9 assists a game, and 4 rebounds a game on 45% shooting, 40% from the three, and 88% from the free throw line. I mean, these guys are just playing so well together. There is no one out trying to outdo each other. They all know their role. Chris Paul knows James Harden is the superstar of this team. He knows he's the young. He knows he's the core. He knows he's the future. That's the guy you give the ball to. Chris Paul knows that. At the same time, when Chris Paul's in the game, he is scoring the ball. He is taking over the ball. He's making the right passes. He is doing what Chris Paul's been doing his entire career when he was in New Orleans and when he was in the Los Angeles Clippers for the last 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, they are just playing so well together. They are just having, and not to mention the fact that they already have a great roster. I mean, you're talking about Eric Gordon's still coming off your bench, last year's Sixth Man of the Year. You still have Trevor Ariza. You still have Ryan Anderson, Nene. You still they even brought in PJ Tucker. Like, they have a very good team this year, and Chris Paul and James Harden are leading this team very successfully. And they, to me, are the biggest threat for the Golden State Warriors right now. This team has everything needed. They had everything last year. Last year I said this was a team that was going to play the Golden State Warriors, and what happened in the second round of the playoffs, James Harden got exhausted. He lost to a very good San Antonio Spurs team, but James Harden lost because he didn't have that leadership. He didn't have the player that he didn't have that second help. He didn't have that go-to player. It was all James Harden. You saw it in his face. He was very very exhausted. This year he got that guy. He had a guy in Chris Paul. You're talking about a guy where you could bench James Harden and you still have Chris Paul running your offense. You bench Chris Paul and you have James Harden running your offense. I mean, they're just so successful the way they're playing. I just really can't see them really just hitting that wall and collapsing right now. They are really, really, really good. And they really are my team that will meet the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. They have a very, very good chance of beating them this year as well too. If they could get, maybe they need one more player, maybe they need to coexist a little more. They need some more games under the belt. But as for right now, the Houston Rockets are the best team in the NBA right now. They have the best record. They're currently on a 10-game win streak. There is nothing slowing them down right now other than possibly themselves. And that is a scary thing when you look at James Harden, who's coming off a great year last year and continuing exactly where he left off this year. Wow. Chris Paul, on the other hand, he is getting older. He is slowing down a little bit, but he is still Chris Paul. He is still one of the best passers. He's still one of the best assist guys in the league. He is very crafty. He's very good defensively, which is another thing, by the way. James Harden is playing defense this year. James Harden has actually gotten better defensively these last two seasons, and you're seeing it this season huge as well. I mean, this guy is very good at getting steals this season. He's really stepped up his game. The whole theory about James Harden not being able to play defense, that you could really throw it out that window this year because James Harden is playing. James Harden has proven to be that he is a superstar in this league. He is a guy that you have to look out for. He is a guy that you don't want taking that last shot because he is going to make that shot if you're the opposing team. This is a guy that can run your franchise. And Chris Paul is that the number two guy down for this team, and he is just the same. I mean, this is a guy you don't want the ball in his hands in the final seconds because he's either going to make the right play, the right pass, or he's going to make that shot. And these are the two, possibly one of the two best first year duos that I have seen in a long, long time in James Harden and Chris Paul. So yes, they can play together. All those naysayers have nowhere to be found. These two guys are playing together. They are playing well together, and it is an amazing thing to see. And I can't wait to see what happens the rest of this season. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's video on James Harden and Chris Paul. Yes, they can play together. Yes, the Houston Rockets are a very, very dangerous team. We all know that with their 7 seconds less offense and Mike D'Antoni. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that big old thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, you like what I do here, I'm Mikey Prince. This is Hoop Nerds. This is where I talk anything NBA related. This is where I just get a whole bunch of nerds together, you guys watching, and we could just geek out and talk basketball together. If you agree, disagree on anything that I am saying about today's video, you can leave a comment below. If there's anything you want me to talk about in the future and the days coming up or whatever that's going on, please let me know. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Everything is in the descriptions down below, and I will catch you next time. Thank you. Later.